Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Make Your Mind. This is another one of my, I guess you could call this a preview video, but this is also a little bit of a tutorial video, once again, to show you guys just how I do this. As you can see, I've already got a couple of things I've already started making. These are actually going to be some of the colors that I'm dealing with. I also have this color that I'm dealing with, but for the time being, here's the beginning of what I have started. Now, for those of you who saw my last Saturday premiere and noticed in the chat, you probably noticed that I planned on doing some more Kaiju sculptures, but if I was going to do Kaiju, I might as well stick with, well, I would have to say, one of the most popular Kaiju movies ever, which was indeed Shin Godzilla. As you probably noticed that already, as you can tell, I'm actually making Kamata-Kun, which is the second form of Godzilla, and I plan on making all five forms of Shin Godzilla. So if you wanna know more about those, just go ahead and look up Shin Godzilla and watch the film. Get the film. It's absolutely fantastic. I would have to say it's one of the better Kaiju movies because it actually deals more along the lines with, especially with politics, because the movie was like a sort of allegory for the way politicians handle natural disasters, like Japan did with both the earthquake and the Fukushima nuclear plant. It's sort of the reason, and also on top of that, the director was also the one who also was responsible for Evangelion, which is an extremely popular anime. So let's see, I'm currently in the process now. The one thing about Shin Godzilla is that Shin Godzilla is a creature that looks just like Godzilla should. In fact, I would even say it looks even better. Because, you know, the one thing about Godzilla movies is that it's a monster movie, and I have to say, they certainly put the monster back in monster movie for sure. Ooh, you know what? Here, just to make us a little taste, let's put some music on, shall we? There we go. Alright, so now what I'm doing, the one thing about Kamata-Kun is that it actually has gills, because of course Shin Godzilla came from the ocean and it was a creature that was actually mutated by eating toxic waste that was dumped into the ocean, which, I have to say, that is a truly terrifying prospect if that's actually what Godzilla would be. And I just love the fact that Kamata-Kun is sort of ridiculed, but also sort of revered as the moment, you know, in the Godzilla, or at least in the Shin Godzilla movies, where it's like, oh, this movie is different. Oh. And the main thing that everybody complains with Kamata-Kun is that the other nickname is also Derpzilla, which I guess that's fair. Because Kamata-Kun is essentially that very ocean creature that kind of comes out of the ocean. As you can see, what I'm doing is that Kamata-Kun comes out of the ocean with its open mouth, and I put the gills in behind. I'm not exactly sure how many I'm going to be able to put on here, but I may have to elongate the neck a little bit, which I can do. And the one aspect of Shin Godzilla that I love about the movie is the fact that Godzilla is an ever mutating and ever evolving creature. Is that it's constantly changing, it's constantly becoming something new, and it's adapting to the conditions that are put in front of it. Whether it's whether it's adapting to eat nuclear material, or whether it's adapting from water to land, whether it's adapting to fighting against the Japanese Defense Force or even the United States military. I mean, it's quite an incredible. I just love that idea, that aspect. From a design perspective, Shin Godzilla is an absolutely amazing movie. So there we go. As you can see, I got the gills started. I may make the neck a little bit longer. There we go. That's pretty good. Yeah, because Kamata-Kun that's the name, I guess, a Twitter user in Japan actually gave the different forms of Shin Godzilla. There's also, let's see, the third form. I'll look that up in a second. But like I said before, I will be doing all 5 forms. So just stay tuned on this channel. And if you're not, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please subscribe. And remember to hit that bell for notifications so you don't miss the next video. I got plenty more of these sculptures coming, and I've had a lot of requests. Now, for those of you who do have requests, you're going to be having another avenue in the future to get those requests fulfilled. And by the way, that avenue will include having those sculptures in your hand. So stay tuned in the future because, I mean, well, I'll make no bones about it. I'm planning on making a store. So that's going to be coming in the future. And please subscribe to the channel and stay tuned when that link pops up. I'll more than likely do an announcement video when the store is finally finished. And when I have some things up there, I'm going to be selling things like, you see these things up here? These are going to be handmade pins made by yours truly here that you'll be able to purchase and be able to hang on certain things like, you know, on your backpack, on your hat, on your wall, on like whether you have corkboard or a bulletin board. But there'll be pins that you'll be able to have fun with, and they include the watermark on my channel, another design that I made, and also, if you don't recognize what that is, I'll be doing a limited run of these, so stay tuned to know when those are available. I will announce when I have those available, but that one is going to be a limited run. And just stay tuned to the channel. So soon enough, I'm just continuing to work on Kamata-Kun's gills. As you can see, one of the things about Kamata-Kun is, since it's always changing and always evolving, it's a creature that its eyes are basically bugged out of its head. And it sort of looks, I'll be honest, it looks very cartoonish the first time you see it. It looks like, you're like, that's not Godzilla the first time you see it, because normally you think of Godzilla as, well, you know, giant atomic breath lizard, but you gotta understand that Godzilla had an origin, and it wasn't just that way all the time, at least in the Shin Godzilla sense. So with that, let's see here, I can keep working on that. I'm actually gonna put this down, and I'm gonna skip ahead, because I had already started making the body for Kamata-Kun, because Kamata-Kun, since it's an ever-evolving version of Godzilla, it actually... Now, I don't know if this is true or not. They say that it was evolved from a sea creature. And if I were to call a sea creature that could evolve into Shin Godzilla, I would say the frilled shark would probably be the closest thing. But Godzilla being a shark? I mean, going from a shark to a lizard? I mean, yes, nuclear radiation is going to evolve into whatever. But it's just interesting to see. So there's the sort of start of the body, and the one thing Kamata-Kun also has these really derpy sort of almost flippers that eventually grow into hands. And one of the things that I made for this was these pieces right here. These pieces are actually going to go in between these sort of cavities that I sort of dug out with my finger and made. So those are going to go in there. Let me go ahead and make these just a little bit longer. There we go. Let's see, I'll make these a little bit longer. If you've seen some of my other tutorial videos, you see... Here, I'm going to use this one instead. You've seen some of the techniques that I've used in the past. Like if you see what I'm doing right here, I'm actually rolling a little bit of clay along my flat, clean surface, and I'm stretching it by spreading my finger, so I'm making it slightly longer. As you see that thin bit in the middle right there, I need to adjust that, so I'm going to fold that in half like so. There we go. Now I'll remake that and put this right in here. Now with Kamata-Kun, there is actually Ooh, here we go. I need to make this one just a little bit longer so that it evens out. I'm sorry, I'm losing my train of thought. Kamata-Kun, one of the weird things about Kamata-Kun is that since it was a sea creature that was mutated by the consumption of nuclear waste, it's a creature that came from the ocean and then actually jumped onto the land and then was able to mutate in order to be able to live on that land. And the one thing that I do love about Godzilla, and they do talk a little bit about the same thing in the 2019 version, Godzilla King of All Monsters, is they say that Godzilla has his own... Since Godzilla is so huge, there's no way that it could keep consuming what it does and then there would be prey items even available to be able to actually consume to sustain a creature that is just this huge. So the idea of giving Godzilla what best can be described as a internal biological nuclear reactor, I just think that is just an amazing idea. I think that's a really cool idea. So there's the sort of start right there. So that's the sort of start of Kamata-Kun right there, and then I have the gray here, which will be the start for the spines. Now if I make the spines, they, looking at the picture that I have, they start in 2 or 3 rows. So I start sort of with a spine like this, and then I make the longer pieces like so. Like that. Oh, goodness. Yeah, let me make that again. Yeah, word of the wise, if you're working with this type of wax clay, make sure if stuff falls on the ground, make sure you, especially if you're like me, if you're in a desk chair with wheels, make sure you don't wheel the chair. Especially with me, because my room actually has carpet in it, which is probably the worst thing in the world to have for something like this channel that I have, but it's what I've got, so I gotta work with what I got, right? So it's all good. So as you can see, I'm sort of making this. And like I've said before on other videos, these next couple of weeks I am going to be slowing down content instead of making I was putting out like 15 videos a week, and that was when I had some slow time. There wasn't a lot of work going on. But now that work is starting to ramp up and I have other things going on outside YouTube, and I'm also working on rebuilding a new setup for this channel in particular. I've got a bunch of new equipment on the way. So hopefully they'll get here soon enough. And then, after the equipment gets here, I gotta figure out how it all works. So I'm gonna be slowing down and doing these videos. I got a bunch of stuff in the works to make this content a little better, and to also make more videos that are more enjoyable, not only for myself, but also for you guys. And another big change that's coming, I'm going to be switching over from using this wax-based clay, which I've used this whole time throughout the channel, and I'm going to be switching over and starting to use more baking clay to make the sculptures a little bit more permanent. Just so that way they're a little easier to display, and they're not quite so affected by heat, because where I live, it gets very hot, and the sculptures literally, if it gets too hot in here, they start to break apart, so... That's sort of what I got to deal with. So those are some changes that are coming. So those spikes are going to go sort of back there like that. And then there's going to be another spike sort of back there. And that's one row. And there's actually 3 rows. There's a row that's going to be here, then the row in the middle, and then the row on the other side. So that's the sort of start of Kamata-Kun. And it's, man, that scene though. That scene of Kamata-Kun sort of like dragging its entire massive sort of deformed body along the ground and just terrorizing the Kamata district, which is one of the reasons why they called this creature Kamata-Kun. But, you know what? Here, let me see here. I'm gonna do this real quick. Let me take off a piece of... I got a little bit of white here, and I've got this strip of black that I'm going to be working on here. And I'm going to go ahead and work on probably the most controversial aspect of Kamata-Kun, which is, of course, its eyes. The fact that Kamata-Kun literally... Let's see, I'm going to take a little bit more of this and add it to the back of the head like this. Now, the one thing about Kamata-Kun is, of course, the eyes. The eyes are cartoonishly big, and on top of that, the creature has no eyelids. Let's see, how does that look? That's a little bit too far forward. Let's bring the eye back to about there. There we go. And then we'll take some of the little bit of black here, make a very tiny pupil. Let's put that right there, and then there. If I'm not mistaken, I don't even know, does Kamata-Kun, do the eyes actually move? I don't even think they do. Because when it's looking, it's sort of always looking in the same direction, and it just, as you can see, it has that very disturbing, very pained look in its face. And it is just, that's the one thing I do like about Shin Godzilla, is that it brings the monster back in Monster Movie. Take a little bit of this red right here. I'm going to keep continuing working on the gills, so I got the red there. And if I'm not mistaken, I think Kamata-Kun, I don't even think Kamata-Kun has a tongue. But then again, neither does the third form, and neither does the fully grown, the fourth form, the Shin Godzilla. Shin Godzilla doesn't have a tongue either. But it has that mouth that splits on the bottom, which I just love that. I made the Hypogiga, the Hyperendoctrin Giganotosaurus from the Isle, and that also has the mouth that splits open. And anyway, if you're a dinosaur fan, go check out that video. Go click this card right up here. Go click that card and go check out my Hypogiga. It's a mutated version of the Giganotosaurus, which I love the designs in that game. It's just really, really, it's very unique, and also just really, really, just awesome. Alright, so I'm putting sorry, let me get that in the camera, there we go. And also another thing, working on the setup, I'm working on the setup so that way I can do live streams with you guys. That way, if you guys want to talk with me in person, and I'm also in the process of switching over my social media. I think I talked about this on a video in the past, but I am working on switching over from, I think I may switch over to Instagram. As you can see, there's the start. We have those together, so let's go ahead and just a little mock-up. Let's put the head on there, and there we go. There is the start of Kamata-Kun. Shin Godzilla's second form. Look at those googly eyes, man. Those things, those things are so unsettling. There we go. I got the gills under here, and another thing about those gills, man, is that they leak this red sort of, I don't even know, body fluid of some kind. I don't even know what it is. But it's super hot, and it's also radioactive, and oh man, it's just, once again, Shin Godzilla brings the word monster back into Monster Movie. It's not just a bunch of monsters beating each other up. It's really, truly a threat. So with that, I'm going to keep working on this, and stay tuned. The final sculpture video will be coming. And remember, if you want to see more videos like this, don't forget to leave a like down below, leave a comment if you have a request, and also subscribe, and hit that bell for notifications, so you don't miss the next video. I'm going to be doing all of the other forms of Shin Godzilla, 1 through 5. So stay tuned for those, and I will see all of you on the next Shin Godzilla Sculpture Showcase.